Hello, you pedalboard aficionados. It's a special day here at 42 Studios. That's where I am. HP42, whatever. Because it's another Walrus Audio Day, Walrus Audio Pedal Thing Day. But it's a very special pedal. And I feel very lucky that they chose me as one of the people to talk about it, as one of the first people to talk about it. We're talking about the ACS1, which is a dumbass name for a cool thing. Well, in the Mako series, which is what this is Makoed for, made for, oh my god, you mess up what you get here, people. They go with, well, names that describe what they do. D1 is the delay, R1 is the reverb, and this is, of course, the ACS. It's the Amp in Cab Simulator 1. It looks like this. Really cool color. Different kind of chassis than they usually have. Same platform as the D1 and the R1, which has been released together with this. Amazing pedals, those other two. This is essentially a 3-amp classic pedal platform amp modeler. I don't really know what I think about modelers. They're, it's convenience and all this, and the pod's great. It's got everything thrown in the kitchen sink. That's one way to go. And the other way to go is simple, give you the bare minimum of what you need to have a good amp, but really do the rest with your pedal board. If you have a pod or a Helix or a Kemper or a whatever, realistically, you want everything in one box. The idea of this is not have everything in one box. It's the same idea that this is. And you're going to say, well, they're just ripping off the Strymon Iridium. There's going to be a video, by the way, with these two compared. I'm filming that next. Realistically, the Strymon Iridium isn't an original idea. It's an idea that's been crossing around on the internet. There's been forums where someone literally 2 years before the Iridium came out said, why don't you make a pedal modeler, stereo in, stereo out, and it's got a Marshall, a Vox, and a Fender, and a couple of IRs from Ownhammer, and it's got this. Literally, bit by bit, someone, I know the guy, listed those features. And when I talked to Strymon about, well, did you rip off this guy's idea? They said this, and I think they're right. Well, if you make a pedal modeler, what 3 amps are you going to put in there? What features would you put in there? What makes sense, realistically? And obviously what makes sense is you put in a deluxe reverb, you put in an AC30, and you put in some kind of Marshall. So, did they rip off the idea? It is a very obvious idea. And that means, did Walrus Audio, a year and a half later, rip off Strymon and do the same thing? What else would you do if you do a modeler like this? It's pretty much the only thing that makes sense. So, that's what they did. And we're going to find out if they did it better, equally good, or different. What we have is bass, middle, treble. Makes sense. Volume gain. There's your preamp section like on any other amp. There's room, which makes sense. How much is it in the room? Kind of like how much are you moving the mic back? Are you having a room mic? You're adding ambience, which is very important to get these classic-y sounds. I love how both companies are naming their amps. I'm not big on actually saying Fender, Marshall, Vox, even though we know that's behind it, but that's their trademarks. I don't like it when there's depictions of exactly the same amps, because those companies put in so much work to become what they are as a brand that it's not nice to piggyback on their success. So what Strymon did, what do they call it? Round, chime, and punch. I think that's super neutral. And they're going Fullerton, London, and Dartford. Fullerton, I could possibly figure out. Rest, I don't even know. That's great. I think that's cool. And you have a switch here for the amp. Then you have cab ABC. Now and I'm gonna say what it is on the Strymon. We're comparing. Okay. On the Strymon, the cabs, the 3 available cabs change with the amp. Here, the cabs are always the cabs. So you got 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, and then you hold in bypass. It flashes, and you've got another 1, 2, 3. And they're calling that the front and the back cabs. Really cool. There's a boost function in here. So when you click this, it does that. You set up volume and gain differently. It's not really a boost, it's just a different volume and gain setting. And it gets saved, and that setting gets saved with the preset. Now, on here, there's a favorite, which gives you the settings on it and a second sound. This has 3 presets. So preset red, blue, and green. And then with MIDI, 127. Okay. Now talking about MIDI, you've seen in the beginning, they have full-size MIDI ins and outs. That's killer. Full stereo in and out versus this that has an in and then you need a TRS cable to go stereo in, which is a little bit full stereo in and out. However, that occupies the pedal on the left, on the right, and on the top. Okay. Now if we look on the left side, if I lift up this D1 right here, there's a headphone out, mini jack, so it's great for practicing. And there's a USB. Now, if you go ahead and plug in your USB cable, you don't need an app on your computer. You just go to walrus.io. It's a very, very clean website. It connects immediately with your pedal, and you can do firmware updates and load IRs in there. So if I wanted that, plug it in, bam, within seconds, there are the 6 IR slots. I can drag in the IR that I want. I personally don't really fiddle around with IRs. I'm thinking whatever they did, that's fine. I might want something a little bit more chimey than they have in there, so I might play around with it. But realistically, I trust the company doing the right thing. Versus Glenn Fricker, for example, the first thing he's like, oh, let me put my IRs in, whatever. Glenn is big on only using his IRs. And that's fine, and he can with this. So the biggest difference, there's a deluxe reverby kind of a sound. There's a voxy kind of sound. On the Strymon, they went with a plexi. Gets you a little bit more gain. And here, they went with a Bluesbreaker style amp. So JTM, which means gain is not ridiculous. It's compressed and very chimey. But that's the Marshall-y amp that they chose. Which tells me clearly that they mean for you to use this with pedals. Because by itself, it doesn't have a lot of drive. It has edge of breakup sounds, which is great. So put your pedals in front of it. Walrus still wants to sell pedals. Come on. They have a lot of drives and good ones. Have we covered everything? Well, most of it. With MIDI, you can control any parameter on this very easily. I have a expression pedal on the floor, and I will show you how I control the room on any of the presets simply with an expression pedal, but you can control anything from a DAW, from your keyboard that can trigger things, you with a MIDI switcher or an ES8 or a gig rig or whatever. So you can literally sweep mids if you wanted that, or change cabs or do whatever. 127 program changes, and I made more than the 3 that are in there, and we'll go through them. I even made 3 that are close to amps that are similar than those. And that's a section later. I'm going to introduce it right now. You can see the Morgan MVP 66. And that's a very boutiquey JTM. And we got a Bluesbreaker kind of amp. We're going to compare that. There is the green thing below it. That's the Tone King from Sky King. It's pretty much the pedal platform amp for me in the world. And that's very Fendery, very deluxey reverby. And there's the Morgan AC20, which is a boutique type Vox thing. I have a deluxe reverb. I have an AC30, but this is the hot shit on the market if you want those sounds. And we're going to see how close it can get to the ACS1, or how close the ACS1 can get to those. Given the fact that I'm running through the same cab in the aux, and I'm using different IRs in there. Of course, you're going to say, cry, cry, cry. If you use the same IRs, you're going to get pretty much exactly all. Yeah, but that's what I do. Primarily because I'm too lazy. I can't load IRs into the aux. And yeah, I could, but you know what? I'm getting pretty damn close without altering anything than the stock stuff that comes with it. So, of course, we're going to go single chords, we're going to go humbuckers, we're going to put pedals in front of them, we're even going to put a fuzz in front of it, even though nobody needs fuzz. It's the truth. Says it in the frickin' Bible, page 74. Thou shalt not use fuzz. It's true. Look it up. Psalm 49 on page 74. I don't know. I don't read that thing. Ooh, now many Walrus fans will go like, oh, blasphemy! That's fine. So, I'm going DI. Get that. 2 cables into my Universal Audio X4. But on the table, I'm running through, let me show you, a route box from Carl Martin, which allows me to switch to the real amps and then into this chain. A Plexi drive for more high-gainy Plexi sounds. A Voyager, which is one of my favorite low-gain overdrives. A Constellation from Crazy Tube Circuits. It's super limited with weird parts in there. It's a fuzz. Then this puppy. Then the D1 from the Mako series. Best delay right now on the market, kind of among the best. And then the R1, the brand new reverb from them. Why am I yelling? I don't know. And that's going stereo, stereo, stereo into the thing interface. Let's start with the red thing. Oh, I forgot to tell you! See that switch in the middle? That's utterly freaking ridiculous. The thing is so stereo, it is so dual processor, that you can literally have anything on the left and anything on the right. So if I go L, I can set it up in a certain way with an amp and a cab and everything and an EQ and gain and room on the left side. And I can put a different amp with different gain and different everything in different cab on the right side. If I'm in the middle, I'm adjusting it in full stereo. It's 1 amp, but you can have amazing stereo fields by doing dual amping. And if you have a splitter in front of it, you could literally send an overdrive into one side, keep it clean on the other, record that. This is definitely a feature where it kicks the Iridium's butt. Don't get me wrong, the Iridium is very good, but you're trying to find out which one of those 2 to buy, so I'm gonna try to illuminate you. So I don't know where I am right here. Of course, Macamal S Classic, blah, blah, blah. Good guitar. Oh, sorry, one more thing about how to test these things. You do not put a cab in a room, an amp and a cab or combo in a room, and you play that. And then you take something like this through a Class D power amp into a monitor speaker, and you compare those 2. It's just not going to be the same. A tube amp in a room is always going to move air differently. It's always going to fill it more. It will not be as good as a tube amp in a room. That's a fact. If you want to compare how good it is, you have to do what it actually does, which means mic the tube amp, send that into your system, and sit in the control room with monitor speakers and listen to the mic'd tube amp versus this. That is what we're actually going to do. Comparing it in a room with a PA speaker versus a real amp is just not what this is meant to do. It's always going to be not quite as good. But it is going to be almost, well, pretty much exactly as good as the mic'd tube amp. Almost. Not all the way, but almost. Sorry. My rant's over. So I don't know where I'm here. If I change anything, you can see it turns purple. So we're going to go gain, volume, going to get this centered. I'm going to go to Fullerton, and I'm going to go to 8, and I'm in the middle. Now I know where I am. I cranked the room up a bit. Gain. all the gain. Edge of breakup with single coils. If I push it with humbuckers, which we will, it's going to be a bit more. Cap number 2. Cap number 3. A little bit thicker, but not so chimey. Cap number 4. Five. And back to 1. That room, it really sounds like you're moving air in a room. You can beautifully dial that in, and I can even, with MIDI, do this. We don't have a camera on it, but with my expression pedal, get this, no room. I'm running that through the air step right now. The air step's on the table. That's where my expression pedal goes. And then from here, I'm running MIDI into the ACS1. Done. And it's a continuous controller 22. They're all listed in the manual. You can literally control any parameter you want. And now, really dial in exactly what I want with my foot. So I add a little bit of reverb from the R1, a little bit of delay from the D1, everything in full stereo. Imagine that FlyRig. Couple of drives, that thing, those 2 pedals. It's a relatively small board and you're kind of covering it all. C major 7 and then C minor pentatonic is a stupid ass idea. Let's do this differently. As far as modelers go, that's good. Pretty damn good. So let's move on. All the buzzing is that guitar. Now we're in AC30-ish territory. Maybe we do that with that more honky cap. when you're really digging in, you're killing that amp. You're going way into the power section. You know, it behaves like that. Let's quickly move on, realistically. I mean, how chimey is it? Very. And we're in London, which is Marshall Bluesberry. I don't know how to play guitar. So, yeah, none of these is super gainy. It's all low gain edge of break. You have to push it with something if you want more gain, but damn does it work. And we're going to explore that in a second. First, I want to show you how to do that stereo thing. So I'm going to go left, going to go clean. First of all, I'm going to go right, dial that to 0, go left, set up my amp. And now set up the other one. Let's say that London thing. Let's throw a bit of drive from the Voyager on there. Pretty damn dope. Let's go through a couple of presets that I made with the S-step right here. Check this out. There, it's a preset that I made. You could have this in the back and just switch it along with the delay and the reverb, because remember, they're on your little board and you have remote controllability through the air step and the air step light. Just saying. I'm not being paid to say this by Exonic, by the way, but it's it's really good, and it works. Next preset. Yeah, it only has 3 presets built in. You do it with the 2 stompies, but you can have 127 with a little bit of MIDI magic. Let's go test some pedals and shit with humbuckers. Let's take this Eastman here. Played this in a while. Just got to tune skis. It's ridiculous how real that sounds. That's clearly a stereo thing. I got more presets over here. There's my pedal platform kind of sound. So let's put some pedals in front of that. That's the Fullerton with, I think, cap number B. Brightness quite a bit up. So I'm throwing the Constellation in front of it. Let's see how that flies. I can, of course, change the amps. Let's try this with that uglier sound. Let's do the Voyager again. I just killed the room by stepping on my expression pedal. Damn it! Okay, let's rock out with the Plexi Drive. Let's answer one question. How good is it for metal? Well, in metal you want... Why am I talking like this? In metal you want headroom, you want clarity, you want attack. You don't want the power amp to be very involved. The deal with these 3 amps is that the power amp is involved. So you've got sag, you got this pumping, you got all the stuff you don't want in metal. If you put a high gain overdrive in front of it or high gain distortion, can you get metally sound? Yes. Will you be happy? I don't think you won't. I don't think you will be. Well, I don't think it's a metal thing, okay? Prove me wrong. Can you get great metal sounds? Can you get 80s metal sounds? 100%. But modern, chunky things, low-tuned, I think these amps are meant to do something different, which makes total sense, okay? Can't have everything. So for the metal guys, at least as I'm concerned, look for something else. But for everyone else, holy cola! That all works, and by itself, of course. Well, let's go here. That's kind of maximum gain now on the JTM. It's got that fiddliness. And that's pretty much what you expect from a JTM. If we push that a bit with the Voyager. It works. I think we established it's made for pedals. It works really well with pedals. It works beautifully with the stereo pedals. You want to do ambient stuff, put the Fullerton on and you're good. On a pedal board, realistically, what we have on the table here, which of course, we have cameras for, for me would be an insane board. Beautiful, creamy overdrive to push it. More high-gainy Marshall-y stuff. Like a plexi, we have different kind of fuzzes. We have this with its clean and edge of breakup, which can of course all be MIDI controlled. Then you have an amazing delay with the D1 and an amazing reverb with the R1. This right here, maybe with this in front of it, holy crap, that can switch the MIDI stuff. You probably then want a pedal switcher like an ES8 or ES5 or Gig Rig or whatever, like the smaller one. Switch your pedals, but that would be a very, very amazing travel rig, and of course for you churchy people, as you call it, a worship rig, because you can literally just throw that in a little case, guitar on the back, go and worship away. So I'm gonna go to a different preset. Bam, my sound's erased. Now let's do the last thing, which is how close does it get to the real deal? And the real deal in this case is, again, pretty damn boutique-y high-end amps. You can't really get a lot more high-end than the Tone King and 2 Morgans. So the MVP66 is your JTM, the AC20 is your AC30, and the Tone King Sky King is a very good Fender clone. And I'm running that through a 412 loaded with the creambacks in the aux. It's just the way it's wired up. I'm not gonna go do anything else. Let's see. I loaded up let's start with the, right here. On my other air step, I made 3 presets. We're going to start with the Morgan MVP66. That's a very good JTM sound. And within really minutes, I tried to just dial it in as close as I could. Here's the real deal. I'm going to tell you, the real deal's better. By very small percentages. Real deal. Clocks in at $2,000 plus 1,200 for the aux. You have to carry it, doesn't fit on your pedal board. If you have an aux, you don't need a cab, but realistically, you're looking at over $3,000 versus slightly over 400 for this. 419, I think, at release date. Ranch time. To all you Schlaumeier out there, Schlaumeier is the German word for smartass. You're gonna say, oh, it's the mids and the, I mean, I can totally hear it's the modeler, it's the fizziness and the high end, blah, 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 blah. God, I'm sorry guys, but boy do you piss me off with your snobbery. I know I'm playing a McMull, I've got all these amps, but look at the price and all that stuff. I did the Pod Go. And did A/B videos of the Pod Go and the HX Stomp, and the Pod Go and the Helix. And a lot of you are like, whoa, I can totally hear it different in the mids. No, they're not. It's the same software. It's the same converters. It's all the same. And even if not, I played them. I had them on the table. I'm sitting in front of very high-end studio monitors. And I do not hear an ounce of a difference. And you're hearing the difference over YouTube because you want to hear it. Realistically, if you go and switch 3 times back and forth, let's do this. Blind. Okay, yeah? Click, 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 click. I have no idea where I am. Let me find out if I know the difference. Because if I can't hear it here, you most certainly can't hear it out there in the YouTube world. I have no idea where I am now. Eyes closed. I know that this is the ACS1, and yes it is, because A, it's got a little bit more mids, and B, there's a little bit of a hum, which I don't have on the other one. I mean, I know because I have a hum eliminator on there. So there's literally no way, if I hadn't set these sounds up, I'm playing them, that I would know. And most certainly that's what matters. In a mix, there's absolutely zero difference. Here's the 3,500 euro Tone King Sky King. God, what an amp. So, the Sky King is brighter. Primarily, I think if you picked a cab with more brightness, you're right there. The ACS1 doesn't have a bright switch, all that stuff. So, you can get that sound 100%, I guarantee you, with a little bit of fiddling and maybe a different IR. Little bit brightness, the response, the in the roominess, everything is right there. Now, I set up my AC20 to be slightly cranky. I love that I have these presets set up. Where am I? Okay, here we are on the actual real AC20 from Morgan. Doesn't like that pickup. It's pretty damn close. And again, I said, this is beta version, whatever. When you get yours, there's of course an alpha version, and they said something about still working a little bit, some of the kinks on the Dartford. So that's probably that's probably it. I got no problem with that. I'm not going to critique that. What have we not covered? I think everything. The left, right. We've covered the cabs. We covered the soft. We covered the MIDI. We covered the all. We have not done the EQ. Easy to really get it fuller and not fuller. Tun. Ha! Bottom line is, it's fantastic. For slightly over 400, I think 419 euro, you buy yourself a rather small 3-amp pedal board amp that has individual left-rightedness, full MIDI implementation. Feature-wise, it kills. MIDI implementation, size, left-rightedness, the sounds, fully pedal compatible, full on stereo input, output, full big-ass MIDI plugs. For a little bit less than this, we're gonna pit them against each other right now. We're filming that in a separate video. This is, I'm getting paid for this, by the way, just to let you know. You have to know that because rules, and also think it's important for you to know that. However, I'm not hiding anything here. I'll say whatever I think, because if not, they can, piss off. Which they won't. They like what I do. Including the freaking sweaters. Think it's brilliant. Make a FlyRig with that, and the D1 and the R1, couple pedals in front of it. It's probably the best sounding small board to go to a gig that you've ever had. I'd rather have this than a Helix, I gotta say this, or an HX Stomp, because it's information overload. I have my real pedals in front of it. It will sound better. It will sound more realistic. It will sound less digital. I would possibly say it's one of the best modelers on the market that I've played. I know the XFX is great, but it's also $3,000. I do think it's better than what Line 6 does. You can get those sounds on a Line 6, but you have to really dig in and program and dial through the hundreds of amps that are in there. Why are they in there? 3 amps is all you need. Technically, 2 amps is all you need, or 1 amp is all you need, if you have the right pedals. I think they hit it out of the park with this. I'm very impressed, and that's all I can say. So, links below, please use them. That really helps me. Also, Patreon and Instagram, do all that stuff. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for watching, and animals at the end.